The void stares back. The credits are rolling, the mics are recording. Gaze into the void with your hosts, Josh and Joey, as they discuss thoughts and questions surrounding visual, written, and interactive media steeped in cosmic horror.
Oh, okay. So...
All right.
Well,
so that was the thing.
yeah.
First off, I like the I like all the B footage. What is it? B line, B shot, B
Yeah. B-roll?
B-roll.
Yeah.
I like all the B-roll.
Oh, it's cinematically, it's like excellent, right? It's
Just all the times that there's nobody on screen.
yeah. Yeah, all of the set shots,
Yeah.
all of the establishing shots, all of the weird vision stuff that he has.
Yeah, those are so good.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. The actors were pretty great.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think like there's some areas where it's a little light, you know, like acting takes a back seat a bit.
Yeah.
And I think the worst thing, well, one of the negatives, I don't even know if it's the worst, but one of the negatives is the dialogue is just uninspired in a lot of places. Some of it. I think
couple
in
moments.
the non,
I thought all
for lack of a better term, the non-Eldritch stuff, like whenever the doctor guy's not talking,
yeah.
like some of the more horror tropey panicky stuff and like the dialogue in between some of those characters in like the downtime, quote unquote.
Yeah.
That's a little, it's pretty standard fare.
I actually enjoyed the frankness
Okay.
of some of that.
Sure.
Like,
Okay.
especially the main guy, the main character.
Yeah. Yeah,
don't
I
even
thought
know.
he did really good.
I don't even know anybody's names.
Daniel's the main guy.
Okay, Daniel.
Allison is the wife, or wife. I think he called her his
Yeah.
wife at one point, so they're separated probably.
Probably. What was his name again? I already forgot.
Daniel. Daniel.
Daniel, a lot of his dialogue that was basically just like it felt really real. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes, very.
like something that was not that far from something I might say in,
Exactly.
in the situation. Or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
yeah.
every time he addressed those two mystery guys, where he's like,
Yeah.
all right, you pretentious fuck.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
shit like that. Like, that felt really...
Or like, may I approach?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
those felt really real. Like, and I think a lot of people might look at those as kind of awkward moments,
They are.
but that's totally real. Like,
Yeah.
that happens all the time.
Yeah, I did think that even though some of the dialogue, like I said, felt a little like just uninspired is the best word that I can come up
Sure.
with. It did feel very candid. And
Yeah, it was very, it was delivered well, so like,
Yes.
it's believable.
Yeah,
I think is the
exactly.
point. Like, it's
Yeah.
sure it's not like creative, but I think
Yeah.
that you're not doing justice to bringing this into a real life.
Right.
Like the movie needs, any movie that's trying to get people to feel like this could be real, so therefore I should be afraid of it,
Yeah.
needs to bridge the gap with reality, right? It can't just
Right.
be all fantasy and expect me to just go like, yeah, I'm totally terrified of a thing I've never imagined before in
Right.
like all these situations that are not really
Yeah.
of my comprehension or something like that. So I find like a lot of that like nuance and uninspiredness needs to exist, because I don't know that I've ever walked away from like a small talk feeling inspired,
Right.
like
Yeah.
in real life. So
Yeah.
I thought that was great. And all their deliveries for it were,
Yeah.
they made sense. You know, they never for a moment was I like, no, that was a bit weird.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Brought me out of it.
Yeah,
And
it-
never brought me out of it, basically. So
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if it ever did that for you.
No, it didn't really bring me out of it. Like, there's the very first time I saw it.
Just mean like thinking about it after the fact.
Yeah, thinking about it, I was like, like, you know,
Yeah.
but like,
Well, I think not to be too awful, I think the entirety of the movie is like that. Like every part of this movie is pretty derivative, right? Like there's
Yes.
almost nothing in here that is unique in terms of concept.
no, yeah,
I think delivery obviously is,
Yeah.
it's its own thing and it deserves that or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, so like I don't know. Which is fine. Like tons of media does that, you know?
Yeah.
So that's not a negative per se. Like,
Sure.
Like it sort of sounds maybe, but I feel like anybody who calls himself an artist or a writer or whatever thinks that they're just going to be like, I'm going to invent the newest cool thing that ever,
I'm gonna revolutionize the format.
It's like yeah, maybe. I don't
Probably
no,
not, though.
anyone who says that isn't. Usually people who do it on accident. Mm-hmm. You know, they just set out to do a thing and
Oops. Oh.
I don't know, it just felt right. You know, it's like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay. Yeah. I hope it feels right for you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. keep nailing those 10s.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I didn't really need that from this movie.
Sure.
And I didn't even expect it with Annihilation, to be honest with you. Like I didn't,
Yeah.
you know, and it didn't either. It wasn't like we didn't really talk about that because there was a lot of like story related questions that the movie asked. But like as a movie, it's not original or innovative in terms of like the kind of story it's telling or the subjects that it touches upon. They're all very much been done before. Mm-hmm. But I feel like this movie you would be overcritical of that versus a movie like Annihilation. Like everyone's just like, nah, it's a B movie and a couple guys made it and it's low budget and it's all you know. Like, well, so what can we do? Let's look at all the bad or whatever. But no, I mean I liked the movie just fine. The only thing I was worried about, because you kept downplaying this movie for me. You're like, God, do we do this second? Is this something that we need to do? Like,
because I know
there's better ones to show you, Joey. And like,
well, I know that first and foremost, like horror is not your thing.
Right. Well, I was about to say this was not a scary movie.
No, it's not.
And I was very glad because like there was one moment where I was like, I can predict that this would be a place someone might put a jump scare.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And they didn't.
Oh, good.
And I was like, oh, that's a breath of fucking fresh air. And it was when, what was the younger student nurse name? Kim. It was when Kim made it to the closet or locker or whatever she was in.
Yeah.
And like there was that long still shot of
the doorway.
Of the doorway in the hallway.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I was counting the beats, right? Because there's really traditional like horror movie beats and I know them well enough to prep myself since I'm not a fan of being scared like that. Yeah. Because I feel like it's one, you know, it's jarring obviously, but like, two, it's super cheap. It's not like any movie that does that is not a good movie, I think. Like obviously extensively, like sure, pepper it in, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care that much, but if it's your gimmick, you're not doing a good job of anything, I think. Right. It's like the Paranormal Activity stuff, right? Where it's just like all jump scares and that sort of a thing. But I counted the beats. I'm like, this is, you know, it's going to happen right here. She's going to be looking and all, you know, the shot is drawing my focus to the doorway, but the jump scare will be that he's already in the room. Right. And it'll be right next to the door. Or he'll smash the door with the, you know. Yeah. Like I didn't even expect him to do anything like aggressive, just to be closer than expected was what I thought was going to happen. And then he just walked around the fucking corner and I was like, oh, yes, all right. Yeah. Okay, we made it.
Yeah. Now, these guys knew what they were doing.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the more movies we watch, the more I'm going to realize that all of these like horror monsters built out of people are going to all start to look the same. Because all of these monsters were cool. They were awesome. Like, to know that people like made them is super cool.
Yeah, that everything in this movie was practical. Like they had to
there are actors in there moving around. Like that's super cool. And our performance artists, I guess.
I've actually watched video footage of the guy the contortionist dude towards the very end there.
I've seen. I don't know if it's the same guy, but I've seen stuff.
I guarantee you the person we're thinking of is the same one. Okay. Because he does a lot of that stuff, and but I've seen him do that exact movement without the costume. Sure. Reenact that scene and stuff, and man, it's freakier seeing a real person.
A lot of people
it.
Can do that.
Yeah.
A lot of dancers can get pretty crazy. Right. Close to that.
And seeing a real person do it versus something in costume or somebody like in costume, it's actually worse to watch because it's just like the.
Well, that's like Voldo, right? Like.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, it's not new for me, so I've always been into it, and like. Parts of certain styles of dancing have incorporated it into their routine. I'm sure you've seen like occasional videos of like next top superstar shows that are all over America. where like part of their dance is to like dislocate their shoulder and do like different movements like that, where they pull their limbs around themselves in time with the music. And that stuff's always super fascinating. So none of that stuff has ever like, I don't know. I have a large tolerance for graphic horror. Okay. In almost all forms, I think. The only thing that gets me, like on a guttural level, is smell. Oh, okay. Not sight or hearing or anything like that. So like, movies don't usually faze me with their grotesqueness.
Right. That was part of the thing that I wasn't sure about coming into this, was what your tolerance was for that sort of thing. And I was like, it doesn't, like, I've seen stuff that goes, way over the top, but this takes some weird turns, and I'm just like, I don't know where he's at with this.
I was actually surprised they did a lot of the, I feel like a lot of them were utilitarian for the purposes of making the movie at such a low budget, but I was surprised that they did a lot of the cutaways they did for some of those.
Oh, sure.
Like when the monster at the end steps on the head of the cultist, and then they cut away to those shots, or when they specifically have Daniel. Yeah. I already forgot it. When they have Daniel specifically lying where he was at the end and is face to face with the pregnant lady. Yeah. And then her stomach explodes. Yeah. From it suddenly growing to that size somehow.
Well, we can talk about that because there's a reason for that.
Sure. No, okay. You suspend the disbelief for the eldritch. When moments like that, like sure, it's like more like a portal, I imagine, than like
her body was a vessel that was the portal through which that thing was coming.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so it was birthed at that size, not immediately grew into.
Well, the interesting thing was that she was still attached by the umbilical cord.
I love that.
Yeah, I like the visual scenes of that, like where it just drags her behind her. Yeah, but it's kind of a weird thing to do. If you're just a portal sort of a thing. Right. Yeah. Either way, but the point I was making was that they specifically made decisions like that throughout the entirety of the movie to cut away from certain parts of the graphic horror. Yeah. And I don't know if that's like an FCC thing where they're like, we can't show it happening as much as imply that it's happening.
I don't know.
Or if it's a limitation on the practical effects and what goes into making that happen. So, for example, like the head explosion, the thing steps, you watch it collapse, and parts of the liquid go, but then it cuts to a wider shot of all of the blood that comes out of it. Right. And so I don't know if that's if it's just a limitation on the practical effects, or if it's supposed to be something that they made decisions to not show so graphically. Because there were a couple that they just showed. They were just
absolutely.
Like the decapitation of the
dude, the state trooper.
Trooper. Yeah. That they showed a little bit more than
they
other
cut,
shots that they cut away.
They cut between, but like they definitely the last chop they fully showed.
Right. Well, they had to get the dummy in. That was the dismembered head. Yeah, sure. But but the fact that they showed it more was like a little bit different from some of the other shots that were that could have been graphic. And then they chose not to be. Like they did a lot of close-up shots when they were fighting the big dude, right before the decapitation of like the pus and just the axe entering.
I wonder if it's to keep.
And that one I think was a limitation.
Yeah,
reason,
probably.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Because there were moments where like right when the sheriff got pulled. Yeah. That whole scene I think is the worst scene in the whole movie.
Oh, it's terrible.
Shot for shot, because it doesn't convey very well what's happening.
No,
and you obviously know what's happening, but like they took really large cuts, and that was a failure, I think, at getting enough in pre-production,
right,
to work with in post. And then in post, they're like, okay, well, we don't have enough, and reshoots are kind of out of the question.
Exactly, yeah.
So we have to deal with it. And that felt like that's why that happened.
Well, and when that was the first, because the very first, like, weird eldritchy thing that happens in this is, like, the thing coming out of the girl's face, right?
Yeah, I like that shot.
Growing. Yeah, it was great. And then, like, the next, after we see her kind of in the room, right? The next thing we see is him getting pulled away, and they show almost nothing, right? And I was like...
Well, they show it. They show it behind the cot when they.
That's what I'm saying. That's the first time we see her. When I say her, I mean it in the room.
Yeah.
So like we see the thing grow out of her face, and then the next shot is
pressing its head up against
the door, and she's behind the cot or whatever, and then the next big opportunity that we should see the most of her.
You see a faded, out of focus shoulder shot of the monster first, and then the tentacle. It cuts to like the violence happening, then back to the monster and its tentacle dragging him away. And
exactly.
There was just a big lapse in time for like what was meant to be occurring, and like obviously I could bridge the gap myself.
Right.
No problem. Like
I
understood what was occurring. It's just
the first time I watched it though, I was so disappointed at that moment. I was like, no, we're not gonna like. This is how much we're gonna get. Like
I would actually be okay with that being all that you get to see of that monster, and then the reveal is when they all three of them go back in to fight it.
Yeah.
And rescue him or whatever. Like that would have been great. They just didn't nail the conveyance of what was happening.
Well, in the spatial...
it's always cool to like hint at the monster and then show it, right?
Yeah,
like, that's what I thought they were doing. I just my only issue was in the conveyance of that scene.
Right, and your idea of where everything is spatially in that scene when the guy gets pulled is a little weird.
Yeah, they didn't build the hospital very well for you because I didn't know that everything that was occurring was basically right outside that door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they never walk you down the hallway. They don't, they don't have like a throwaway shot of them like, because they show him like headed that way because he sends them on the cot.
Right.
And they go that way.
Yeah.
So that all made sense. Like that way is where he is. That way is where this thing is coming from. That's where they'll come back. That all made sense. But after that, we're like, how far is he? Is he like?
Yeah.
Is he in a room way down?
Yeah.
So like they didn't really play with that space until later. And I think that might have been like the order that they shot the movie into could have been the reason why they cut away from that, because the scenes where they're fighting the monster or you're watching the tentacles like push through the state trooper.
Yeah.
Those scenes are great, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Because they did it twice.
Yeah.
With the very end.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the guy's gut.
Yeah.
Those were great.
And multiple cuts of that in both instances.
Right.
Too.
It wasn't just one shot of it.
Yeah. No, they gave you a lot, and
I think that was like that was a time where they conveyed the movie well, because that was like, okay, this is important that it's happening like this. Because then those guys come in and then they sever all the tentacles.
Yeah.
And it somehow disables what was going on aside from the damage they were dealing to the thing.
Right. Well, and I'm assuming that it's supposed to be like assimilating.
Yeah.
Either into him to copy itself or make him part of it or something like that. You know.
But yeah, like they made that clear to me, the viewer, that process or that interaction was important.
Yes.
Especially when they shot a very long scene of brutality to show them severing the
tentacles and then cutting the guy's head off.
Where the rest of them were going through, presumably.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
yeah.
So that was great. But yeah, I think they might have shot those shots first.
They may have,
and then the spaces that they had access to in the live shots weren't one-to-one with where that was before the gore occurs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think they shot that maybe because they, liked the spot, but it wasn't in line with everything else they were shooting. So if they showed you some other weird hallway where that all occurred and then cut back to that later, you would have been confused about space again. But that's just a guess. I might be giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
It could have just not been something they thought of.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy to imagine. Like this is the step, I think. This movie feels like the step between something incredible and something homemade, right? Like obviously they have knowledge, they have skills, they have the tools, the money, and like this is a proper production, but like the caliber of like writing it all, figuring out like every little detail about how to shoot every single scene, all that stuff, the nitty gritty that really goes behind it. Some of that gets lost,
right?
I think in somewhere for this movie, as opposed to something that's like a year of just making that plan and before you even get the idea that you can shoot. I don't know. I think like the level of vision is different, and maybe the vision was bigger and they just couldn't
pull it off.
Couldn't do it all. Money wasn't there or whatever.
Yeah,
because that's certainly plausible.
Yeah, that's always a factor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a factor in big budget movies too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they always have to cut back on something. Mm-hmm. So,
but no, I mean, I liked a lot of what went into the film physically.
Yeah, well, and that's where it shines. I think is you can tell that a lot of care and tender love was put into the way it was supposed to look all the time.
Sure, I think that there is a couple moments I want to sort of talk about in terms of the physicality and like expectations and stuff. I enjoy the choices in the character of the survivors. Okay. Being like the two more inept or, obviously the guy didn't speak a damn word in the whole movie. Right. And then the girl was just like basically useless throughout most of it. Mm-hmm. I thought that was an interesting choice in Survivor because like those are usually the red shirts. Those are the people who are
they go first.
Who go first? Yeah, and are definitely going, and it's nice to see something you didn't expect as far as people who are going to make it out of that alive. Yeah. And then the other thing was like, I see why it exists. I guess, at least part of it. I see why some of those shots exist, but the fact that him and his wife are at the end there, overlooking the giant floating pyramid. Yeah. I didn't enjoy that.
Really? That's okay.
The shot is cool. Right. The implications that he's clearly imagining his wife there, maybe. Is cool. It just felt really needless to have like the whole shot where they're clasping hands and it be like all of a sudden about love.
Well, okay.
That's interesting. It puts a weird weight on that relationship that I felt was better fleshed out through the nuance of everything that was happening and the really quick interactions where we don't get to see a lot of their backstory. Yeah, yeah. And we learn about it in those moments where he's like holding something he doesn't realize is like a giant mess of tentacles and like in all of those scenes, and he fucking kills her in some capacity or cuts away the tentacles from her.
Yeah, we don't know.
Either way, he approaches the final room alone. Yeah. And she's not seen until he's in the void, which to me means she's dead. Right. In that scene, he felt like the character had put her out of her misery sort of situation. Yeah. I don't know. I just didn't like that scene at all. It didn't feel appropriate for just some of the events that led up to it.
All right. Well, I mean, how do you feel about?
But the part of that scene that I said I enjoyed was the fact that it felt necessary because I liked seeing into that space. Yeah. I liked the glimpse of being in that realm, universe, dimension, planet, wherever that was. Right. Yeah. And seeing the floating pyramid is interesting, and because we've gotten those like quick flashes of the sky. Yeah. Of that place and then the rocky terrain a couple times and the weird nebula that never got resolved. That was cool, but
it's so gorgeous.
Very nice shot.
That shot is excellent. Yeah, but we don't know what it is.
I liked when they first flashed it too.
Oh yeah, it's just super quick.
I was like you couldn't see me, but I was like, okay, right. I mean, like I was just smiling because I'm just a fan of those shots anyways, and I don't know anybody who isn't. Right. When NASA puts out like high res HD shots of anything in space. Yeah. People like drool over that sort of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's an interesting representation of the elder ancient beings. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Without having to like animate them or show them. Yeah. It was actually an interesting relationship with what they did show early and then that final shot of the pyramid, because everything they showed was actually under the cloud level before then. Yeah. So you just see this like some sort of a silhouette, which reminded me of Stranger Things. Sure. Where you see in the clouds and the legs sort of moving through that. Yeah. Obviously in Stranger Things they were really implicit to convey that it was a living thing moving. Right. So you would see things moving in the strikes of lightning. Yes. And in this, it never moved.
No.
The clouds just moved, and it was just this like clearly something giant was behind the clouds.
Right.
And it was very geometric.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not even that. It never felt geometric more than just like solid. It felt like it was unmoving and
now
large.
that I've seen it multiple times, you can definitely make out a pyramid shape.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
After seeing the final pyramid, I'm like, oh, that's what those shots were.
Right. Yeah.
They were just the bottom part of that pyramid under the clouds. And because like every time that shot came up, there was a more prominent leg on the right.
Oh,
like
okay.
a more prominent side that I would look at, and I was like, this looks like a leg of something or like a limb.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And that's what I kept seeing.
Yeah.
When I what I kept interpreting that when I saw that. But then obviously it's the pyramid. I think the implications of the pyramid, I don't want to say lazy, but like I feel like it feels natural that someone would go there when writing something like that to suggest that like the clear ease that I don't want to say ease, but the clear, the capacity for the Doctor to have, obtained some sort of a connection with the void, with them or their world, which suggests that it's possible for anyone to do it, because there was no visuals of him ever using any like form of technology to accomplish this.
Right.
So to me, that spoke about it being something that either inspired or more, I'm going to say inspired. I don't want to make too specific a statement, but it's like our actual pyramids.
Sure. Okay.
And and it's kind of a nod to like, oh, the aliens built the pyramids, right? It's just like, guess what? We've been sort of like looking at the ancient ones for a bit now, and people have been kind of crazy and obsessed with becoming gods since Egypt. That whole thing. I didn't really like. I didn't feel great, but I see where I feel like I see where they might have been sort of going with that.
Sure.
Because there's tons of sci-fi that's just like, look, these fucking aliens use pyramids as spaceships. Like, isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's pretty common.
They don't make any reference to it, but they're like clearly like, this is basically what you're saying.
I mean, like I picked up on that obviously the very first time I watched it, and then I ignored it. It just like shut that up in my brain. I was like, no,
shut up, just enjoy.
Yeah, I was like, no, the triangle you see everywhere, that's really cool. We're gonna ignore the fact that it might be 3-dimensional somewhere else.
I mean, that's clearly why they did that, right? Like the imagery sort of, I think, leads to that, or led from it, depending on how they came up with the ideas involved here.
Yeah, I love the triangle. I don't know why. There's just something really elegant about just using that as like the cult symbol, and things like that. It's
like the paint on the doors.
Yeah, the paint on the door
and their masks.
Mm-hmm. Like there's something just super ominous about it.
Little racist there. They're like white.
The all white. Yeah.
It's a little bit rough.
Yeah.
A little bit rough, especially in like backwoods nowhere town that this place apparently took place in. It's like I'm not digging this, but
the leader's an old,
old white guy.
Old white guy. Yeah.
At least they didn't have any. They didn't have a single piece of dialogue with anybody in a cloak, which I found interesting.
I liked that a lot. It really kept the air of mystery surrounding all of them, and
I don't know that I enjoyed a few of the moments in the movie where they ham-fistedly explain. Part of it made sense in the moment, but I wish they would have found a way to write around it. But I didn't enjoy that they explained that the cultists were there to keep them in.
Oh, sure.
I wish they had shown that.
Okay.
Instead of explained it, because they explained it in dialogue. They're like, they're not coming in. They're clearly to keep us here.
Yeah.
And then the characters have some realization moment about that.
Yeah.
Fact. I didn't like that. I don't like being told anything that you could have shown me. Like I would have liked to have, I would rather have just seen a moment where someone was just like, no, fuck you, I'm getting out of here, and like and then they never talk about it, but the person runs out, and then the cultists just deal with them or do something graphic or and instead they made the cultists this weird, they gave them a different role, than like to convey that idea, because clearly they did it in dialogue, but like they made like going outside feel scary.
Yeah.
And that was what they played with, right? They had a whole scene dedicated to that.
Yeah.
The tension there. But yeah, I just wish that they used it to convey a greater concept.
Yeah.
Without feeding it to the viewers. Because that's, I think, where movies like, maybe I can't speak for it, but movies like maybe what this was trying to do, excel at, where they're delivering information without saying it, sometimes without showing it.
Right.
They're just like hinting at something, and you're like, I got an itch, and then they hint at it again, and then you're like, okay, I'm building a story here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't do any of that in this.
Right, and that's one of the things, like, when we watched Mad Max Fury Road, like, that's one of the things I love about the world building in that movie, is it's all fed to you visually rather than told to you.
That's the way it's like Tolkien, right? Like, you build a giant world, but then you just tell a story at one tiny point in that world.
Yeah.
And the fact that the world is rich will explain itself.
Exactly, yeah. Yep. No,
because this is clearly small enough that they didn't feel like they could do that with the world, and they had to explain a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like the book and the photos that he finds didn't speak to an ancient truth that the Doctor uncovered and was exploring.
Right. Yeah.
They spoke to, isn't it scary that this guy's doing some crazy shit and he thinks he's like going to become immortal? That's sort of what that spoke to more. But the visuals, the way the book was laid out and written so carefully, and like all of that stuff felt more interesting. And in watching the guy take it, I thought was going to be way more important. Never happens again.
Every time I've shown this movie to somebody, that's the one thing they pick out where they're like, well, I was
excited to learn more. You know?
He took the book, and then nobody...
And then he dies. Like, I was like, okay, well, maybe there'll be like a little bit of an after... Like, this is what happened after.
Yeah, like the kid that's with him, like, picks up the book or something.
Yeah, and then he's with her, and then, like, they leave, and then there's a moment where they're like, looking, I don't know, like just something.
They just open the book at the end or something. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is one of the bigger disappointments for me too.
I mean, it's the whole thing. It's not just the moment about the book. It's the fact that they built this idea of this something beyond the viewer's understanding.
Yes.
But they don't make you feel like you couldn't understand it. They make you feel like they just didn't deliver you it. Right. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the difference between this movie and like Annihilation, where Annihilation is just like, here's everything.
Yeah.
And you still don't know what the fuck you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that's, I was going to bring that up as a point where this movie, clearly inspired by Lovecraftian writing, fails on that point to deliver the Lovecraftian theme.
The vibe. The feeling that, you know in the face of something you can't understand.
Yeah. It's like, here's a thing that you probably don't understand, but we're not going to tell you anything about it.
This is like a surface level horror flick of what happens in maybe a Lovecraft world without touching on Lovecraftian ideas.
Yeah.
It's clearly just inspired by what people have assumed the visuals of that world could be. This is clearly also like a deviation of that, given that the triangles and the planet and like the imagery of. I was also confused by what the flashes of the final scenes were, because they flashed the final scene of Richard. Is that is the Doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah, of Richard standing in the silhouette of the
triangle.
The triangle.
Yeah.
To Daniel.
Yeah.
And he just like, it's when they're like wandering in the mystery part of the mystery space that doesn't truly exist.
Yeah.
Of that final floor.
Yeah.
And like they're just like staring, I think, just down the hallway.
They're staring at the door.
They're staring at they're staring.
There's
the door right. Was it the door?
They're staring at the door with the triangle before they go into the room with all the writing on the floor, with all the symbology and stuff.
I thought it might have been before the sort of staircase.
No, it's right after the staircase before they go into that room, because the one guy's like, we need to think this through, and then he just opens the door. But
before that,
Daniel's
all of them are
like
standing there silently looking, and then somebody breaks the silence and it pulls him out of this vision.
Yes,
it looked like he was having of the end of the movie.
Yeah, because he sees a figure on the table, like on the morgue table in the delivery room table, which is supposed to be his wife later when he finds her.
Right.
But she's covered in a sheet.
Yeah.
So he sees that, which is it's slightly.
But he also hears a voice. Is it his? There's a voiceover in that part.
There is.
I think it might have been Richard's.
I think so too.
And then it cuts to him as he steps under the triangle.
Yes.
And then the guys near him break him out.
Yeah.
By just saying something and pushing him past.
Yeah. Well, and the image of Richard inside the triangle, the silhouette, is reversed because it's a reflection on the floor.
Oh. Wait, is it reversed?
Yes.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Or I wasn't paying that much attention.
It is. It's flipped upside down. Assumedly now that, like, I've seen it a few times.
From his perspective after he was knocked over?
Yeah, when he's laying on the ground and it's in the pool of blood from the girl, I think, is the reflection. So...
Well, the girl is after he walks out. Or is this like when he opens it?
Wait, what?
The pool of the girl's blood is after he's already... Because he steps into frame of the triangle in that...
Yeah.
He like steps from out of the triangle to in front of it.
Right.
In that vision. But,
okay.
In timing
we're
order...
thinking of two different ones then. Because there's one where he's standing in front of the light triangle.
Yeah.
That's the one reversed, and it's in the reflection, which is, I'm assuming that the reflection is in the blood pool.
Sure.
Because I don't know what else I'd be reflecting off of.
Yeah. No, the one I was thinking...
Okay.
Was just like, it's like a moment, and the visage of this, like, what at first I thought was just like, because I had seen imagery of like the other nurse that like starts cutting her own face off. I saw that imagery, so what I thought was like a person fully flayed.
Oh.
Stepping out? Because it was so quick. I didn't know that he was like different.
Yeah, he's like blue now.
Yeah.
And or whatever he is.
It's like a weird skeleton man.
He's transformed.
I don't know. There's also the break-in. See, like I don't know, getting any sort of shot to let us know more about the world and like what was happening would have been really nice, because like, why the fuck did he get up? And why was he different when he got up? Everyone else, because like, okay, so here's another important moment, and maybe you'll have more insight on it. The important moment is when Daniel gets meth head's blood on him.
Yeah.
They make an important moment about that. A lot of mentions of it, and him going like and realizing like, oh, he's like a drug dealer or a drug user, and then they're like, oh, God, there's blood on me, and he's like really upset, and then he takes a scene, and he's like, I thought this would clear, but it didn't, and like, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, the nurse becomes infected.
Yeah.
With the madness. And perhaps that's related to the fact that she just works for Richard. And
well, because Richard says later on the phone, I think it's either on the phone or when actually I think it's afterwards, when Daniel is laying on the ground because the girl stabs him in the back or whatever. He's laying on the ground. And he goes, I've shown you all this and you still don't understand. It's okay. Beverly didn't. Oh no, he's telling Allison. She's laying on the table and he goes, it's okay. Beverly didn't understand at first either. So we're led to believe that he's obviously been doing this for a while. Because, I mean, he talks about all the experiments.
Was that
and all
her name was Beverly, the other one?
The other nurse. Yeah, that the very first one to turn into a monster or whatever.
Yeah.
Her name is, so she was under his influence the whole time, basically, is what we're supposed to be led to believe by that point in the movie. Where he starts talking about his failed experiments and stuff. And
I mean, it doesn't feel good.
Well, it's like, why all of a sudden?
Right, like it leads me to believe that between that shot and everything prior, Richard didn't do anything to her.
Yeah.
And then did.
Well, I don't know that he did.
Right, that's why it's weird, because like she acts extremely normal.
Yeah.
Before that. And then all of a sudden just becomes, let's cut my face off. This is crazy.
Yeah. And kills the kid laying in the bed.
Yeah.
And well,
it doesn't. There's a weird loss of information and time there, but it made me feel like she got infected by.
Oh, the other guy.
The meth head.
Yeah.
Because she had to.
Yeah, hold him down.
Interact with him or something like that. Like I thought he was going to be more pivotal than, oh, I've just been to these moments a couple times.
Yeah,
and clearly I escaped the last one.
Yeah.
Because he talks about more than one.
Yeah, he does.
I guess that one was just the one that he was in danger of dying because the pair showed up and started killing everyone.
Yeah.
Sure. It was just really weird.
It's because all of a sudden, Richard decided that night was the night, which is why the girl's there to give birth to his daughter. So he's called all the cultists, and with the cultist activity, the eldritch ethereal aura around the building just automatically triggered her change, Joey. It's easy. It's that simple.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, how did you not figure that part out?
Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't pick it up. I just must be bad at watching movies.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's again, that's part of the reason I knew going into this, like, this one would be a lot easier to just pick apart some of the flaws, because it's not quite all
I want more.
Right. No, well, and that's what I like about this movie, is that it triggers enough in me to want more of it.
Yeah.
And some of it in a bad way, because it just isn't given to you enough or in a proper format. And then some of it just because it is so cool, and it's like, all right, well, I want more. Like, I want either some stuff that happens before this movie, or I want to know what happens after this movie that explains more, or, you know,
you don't want
I don't want
want that.
Okay, you're right. I want more that's before it than anything.
You don't want any of that. I just feel like it wouldn't be able to do it enough justice to like give you what you're hoping for. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you're too hyped on the possibility as opposed to like the reality of what could be made and what the answers are, or if there aren't any answers. Because parts of these decisions are either like, we had a great vision, couldn't do it, budget wasn't there, or we don't have a vision past this stuff. You know what I mean? Maybe it's purposeful that you don't get to see more of that book. Maybe it's important that, like, these are just vessels for us to create a cool, like,
or
practical effect monster movie.
Had the vision and chose not to show it to us.
That was a poor decision.
I wasn't saying it was good or bad.
Well, I would disagree with that too, because there are moments in this movie, like I was saying, like we were talking about before, where they do exactly that, where they don't tell you something, and then they're just like, check this out, fuckers. Like, you know. And it's like, oh, sweet. I want more of that, please. Yeah. And then they don't give you more.
Yeah.
Or they at least don't give you it in the right areas.
It's probably poor execution of trying to convey that sense of the unknown that comes with the Lovecraftian
or they
theming.
Just didn't know what they were conveying.
I mean, maybe.
I feel like it could be that, right? Where it's like, you know, we have all these people that we know that are like really great at making practical effects. And then it's like, let's create a practical effect thing. And you're like, well, I've always wanted to write a Lovecraft story. And you're like, okay, well, here's all the bits. And it's just not quite deep enough, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
It could just be that. Like, and that's fine. Like, I thought the movie was great. I just wish.
Yeah. I know a big focus for these guys was, if I remember, if memory serves correctly, in my readings prior to watching the movie online and stuff, that one of the focuses for these guys was just to pay homage to 80s monster flicks with practical effects.
Sure.
So, I mean, they may not have had something deeper to go off of other than...
That's totally fine.
I just want to make this movie to pay my respects, basically, to like those that came before.
And it was cool.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, that there are no gripes with those portions of it, right?
Right.
Like, the visual effects were really cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a weird scene to pick out. Do you have like a favorite graphic scene?
Oh man, there's so many good ones.
Mine's really silly, but I want to know if you have one before I tell you mine.
Okay.
Because I think you'll laugh at mine.
I like I said before, I really enjoy the spider thing coming out of her face.
Yeah.
At the very beginning.
I think that shot is made better by its length. It's very short.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the more you look at it, because I've seen it enough times now, I can pick out that it's an animatronic little thing.
Yeah, there's not a lot of actuating points on it.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, I picked it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Not as that, but like just as like there wasn't a lot of depth there. Like,
yeah,
which is it totally served everything it needed to. And it wasn't a bad thing. I could see that being bad if it was longer. And you're like, ooh, here are the seams.
Right. And then other than that, I really enjoy the the burst out of the girl's stomach that you don't really see, but like, and then immediately like this giant baby monster pulling her away.
Yeah.
Like that couple, 30 seconds or whatever is really great. But
for sure.
All right, what's yours?
My favorite shot, my favorite graphic shot is when he picks up the sergeant's pistol.
Oh yeah, and it's all goopy and blood.
There's
covered
like a slight like tether of something more than just the blood attached to the ground still, and he's just like, and he shakes it.
Shaking it. Yeah.
I love that shot. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, don't think blood works that way in real life, but
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because it was like, it's full of chunks.
Yeah, it's
like full of actual gore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some real visceral in there.
Yeah. That was my favorite shot, though. I just like the daintiness of the idea of trying to like be like, I need this, but it's
really gross.
It's all covered in Nickelodeon goop or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you already mentioned it too, the tentacles going in the guy's face.
Yeah, that shot was done really well.
Yeah. Oh man. I really, really appreciate they show the baby monster face pretty distinctly, but I really appreciate
it's
in
just
the nurse.
Skull.
Yeah, it's a skull with like growth coming out of the bottom of it, which
I thought that was a little weird. The fact that it's a skull. Is that interesting? Because it feels bigger than a baby skull.
Oh, it's absolutely bigger than a baby. The whole, like, nothing about it seems baby-like other than the baby squeals that it makes. Right.
Well, the reason I said that is because she's pregnant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, it's like...
You're saying it's bursting through
the baby was in there,
baby.
right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Because, like, otherwise, it's just this, like, weird, otherworldly thing that has human...
features.
Anatomy,
Yeah, I'm wondering
especially
if
it's
like,
also carrying her behind. Like, you didn't repurpose her for that to be her skull or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's something like we're just led to believe that it's along the lines of she's the vessel, right? It comes through, and all in a flash instant of that process of it coming through, it assimilates the baby, and its form becomes that of like the DNA of the baby, but like it's just larger because it itself was already larger,
Yeah.
So it was just like all in one, boom, there it is. And
yeah, I like the shots of its little velociraptor feet.
Oh yeah, like the gnarled toes or hands or whatever it is, but it walks like on its knuckles and
the head smash I think was more important than just like wow factor or like awe. What would you? It's like shock value.
Yeah, shock value. Yeah.
It's because it communicated its weight.
It's huge, right? It's just
not that it's big, but it's
like it's heavy. Yeah, it just walks and literally crushes bone. Just smashes heads. It
is very, very, very heavy.
Yeah,
and like it didn't alter its momentum due to the fact that it was dragging a human corpse behind it.
Yeah, right? It's just moving like
it was just inconsequential.
Happening. Yeah. I had a thought, but I lost it talking about baby skulls. I don't remember. Anyway.
I'm not sure, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Just a couple weird moments that just sort of break the chain of attempting to understand something.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Going back to, I really appreciated, even though we saw the baby skull monster pretty clearly, I appreciated that we didn't really know what the nurse monster was, right? Like there's one,
the first one that
there's like one shot where we really get a good glimpse, and it's farther away, and it's like the whole nurse's body is the front of the thing. It's like hanging off the front. But like other than that, there's never a clear shot of like anything distinct. It's just this mass of living tissue.
Well, when you first see the shots of it behind the bed, it sort of seemed like it was like a bloated version of her head.
Oh, okay.
Because like you still get the hair.
Yeah.
And it's all matted, of course, but like like the space between it felt like bigger.
Yeah.
Like it was just this like weird like balloon monster. and like obviously I feel like I superimposed this because you didn't get any real clear shots of it, but it felt like its mouth was bigger too. Like it had like an Attack on Titan's mouth situation going on. That wasn't the case, but like it's still like obviously those flashes of quick visuals did something just for me to fill in gaps that weren't really there and make it sort of like a crazy thing that was personal to me. But yeah, the Little House of Horrors part was, I think, a little bit uncool too. Didn't really enjoy that. I wish they focused more on the weird telepathic lady who could hover.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought she was going to be more important for that scene because the timing she shows up, I felt like she was controlling all those corpses or something like that.
Sure.
But it turned out those are just experiments that failed experiments sort of things.
Yeah.
It just felt like she was controlling them because she shows up after they start waking up.
Yeah.
And and her shots are different.
Yeah.
And there's like physical graphical issues with like having the camera on her. Mm-hmm. Like it shows her feet hovering above the ground for one of them where she's basically just flying around.
Yeah.
Which was weird.
Yeah.
I wish there was more on that.
Well,
and she clearly was their mother.
See, my understanding was
or
that
it just like spoke to their fears or something like that, and like.
Well, my understanding was that she isn't even actually related to them. That she was the guy's wife.
Richards?
No, the older dude of the pair.
Aren't they related?
Yeah, I'm assuming he's the dad.
Yeah,
and he's
they're on those pictures at the end.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I thought that she was his wife because there's another shot of her when the dude is underneath Baby Monster getting tentacles in his gut, and the kid
it's
has
behind,
the flare.
It's behind the kid.
Yeah, and she's holding the baby.
What baby? Just a baby?
His assumedly baby sister or baby brother.
Okay.
But it's the same lady.
Well, there's a bunch of weird shots in that scene because when he's choking his son with the shotgun, he keeps like looking over.
Yeah.
And we see shots of her standing there watching.
Right.
He does not. He sees a shot of her like just feet, bloody feet lying on the ground.
Yes. Yeah, and the baby. There's a baby there with the bloody shoe that he picks up much earlier when he drops it in the hospital room.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why
I didn't see the baby. I saw the feet.
Okay. Yeah, there's the feet from the one side, and then there's the baby feet from the other side with the shoe on. And I just assumed that
it was like a memory.
It was a memory, and then it related back to her holding the baby at the very end behind him or behind the son.
Right.
So, but I mean, it could be a different lady. I didn't know if. I don't know.
Well, the reason I think that it is the woman.
Okay.
Is because why are they involved?
Yeah.
Just period. Why are they going around killing these cultists and disrupting their?
Sure.
This is their revenge.
Yeah.
For the fact that they did the same thing.
Yeah.
To that pregnant woman, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what I thought, and so she's like also an experiment.
Well, of course, yeah, it has to be why, because he even says earlier when he talks to the whole group in the moment of panic when they first enter the hospital and stuff, and the son shows his neck is cut or whatever, injured and can't talk, and he's like, they slaughtered his whole family, and
that's why
we don't know that they're father
weird.
and son at the moment, and then we find out later. But so I mean, assumedly that he's hunting them all down to get rid of them because they killed his wife and kid.
Well, no, that's not exactly what he says about the wound. He says that this happened from the last person that he trusted.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's another moment where he says they slaughtered his whole family.
Sure.
I don't. Maybe it's in the other room where they're finally all sitting.
I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I feel like it was.
Yeah.
The mom.
Probably. I don't know why she has telepathic abilities over all the other things, though.
What other things?
You said...
I just said that I thought that's what was going to be the case.
Right. I know, and I was...
But she clearly got in his head. Like, he was hallucinating, and, she's, clearly, a crazy... She's, a powerful being of some kind.
I mean, is that...
What, do you think he just hallucinates and walks off because he thought he saw her?
I don't think that it's necessarily tied to her. I think it's the nature of...
But it only happened to the people who interacted with that girl.
No.
Who else hallucinated like that?
Daniel, when he's with his wife. And she's a tentacly mess, and he sees her as not at first.
Yeah, but he's like up close to like a bird thing, right? Like, I felt like it was just like, that was him interacting with an ancient being.
Okay.
And then that was the father and son interacting with their ancient being.
Right.
I just like a taste of the other world. Not necessarily like...
I just took it as that there was no particular one thing
like it was
in
just
either situation.
The fact that they were all there.
They were there in the hub of eldritch activity.
It was just specific to each person, which is why I didn't think it was like an aura of the place. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like the father runs off. Yeah. Because and even before that, he looks up, she's there. Yeah. And then he goes like, ugh, and then like, and so you like led to go like, okay, she's doing something to his head.
See, I just took it as...
then somebody shouts, he's in her head. I think the dad's like, she's getting in my head, or the crackhead is like...
the crackhead's like, he's in his head, is what he says.
No, he says she.
I don't think so.
Maybe I added the S, but like...
I thought it was he's
the moment she looks up and he goes, ugh, or he looks up and it's her, and he does that thing... I thought somebody was like, she's in his head.
Oh no, I want to know. Now I want to look up dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was he, and I just
this is important stuff.
Filled in the blank, but like either way, that interaction after he's like clearly, the crackhead was like he or she's in his head, and then he's just like he gets upset that the crackhead's yelling and he punches him twice.
Right.
There's a scene where he's just in the background punching him, and then the son like pulls him off of him.
Yeah.
Or no, Daniel pulls him off. I think.
Yes, Daniel pulls him off.
Because the son has the shotgun and he's shooting the Zambos.
Yep.
So he pulls him off, and then we see the shot of the lady, the floating lady, farther away at some exit.
Yeah, she's kind of around
like
the
just
corner.
Teleports, right? Like for us, like we don't get to see how she gets there, but she's like right next to him at first.
Which is why I thought it was a visual, like a hallucination on his end.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
No, I get it. I'm just walking us through it again.
Okay,
but he runs off with her and like goes through this crazy hallucination where he's standing in his living room where the horrible event happened. Mm-hmm. And then the son slowly walks into that vision because it isn't all built for him right away. He looks at the hospital wall and sees his own picture hanging.
Yeah, and then the wall becomes deteriorated and becomes the house wall.
Yeah. And then they have that interaction. But the experience within the interaction is so different, right? Like the son is clearly still within his cognition, knowing this isn't right. Mm-hmm. You know, I have to help you get out of this.
Yeah.
And then he breaks him out of it by burning him because he's clearly hallucinating.
Yeah.
And then they're just at a like a small 2.5 person wide hallway dead end.
Yeah.
Where they're just having this ordeal. It didn't feel like, oh, this place is a mystery and it's all crazy. I don't know. Maybe it is, but like it was just weird that she was floating. It was weird that, you know, they spent a lot of time showing her if she was just a vision to one of them, which is possible because, like I said, the kid only sees the dead body when he looks over.
Yeah.
And he's not facing the mom. Mm-hmm. When the child monster is killing the dad.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe the dad sees the mom looking as a ghost the whole time when he looks back and he's like, burn me, do it. You know,
I think he does, yeah.
You know?
Which is why I think he's saying, you know, he's yelling, do it, and then he looks and you see the woman and then he's like, do it. Like, please, I want to be with her, you know, kind of a moment.
Maybe. It's just a weird time to show her for the first time. And like if I was a dude who like lost my wife or whatever and like my baby and then was like, let's get revenge, and like the time that I picture her, she's like a bloody ghost monster holding a bloody baby monster in her hand, like it's just weird.
It's because it's the void, Joey.
Oh yeah. It's the void.
I see that. I feel like you don't want to accept that, but I think that's what they're trying to convey.
Maybe
is that it's not even
my
about
argument
the
by
place.
saying what is the void in a snooty way is saying like you didn't do a good job, movie. Like you know,
and I agree.
If that's the case.
Well, let's phone up the directors. And,
hello. Your movies made us upset. But yeah, I'm not sure what the relevance of that happening when it did, other than separating everybody.
Yeah.
I just hate that. I don't want that to be the answer, because that's basically just like, yeah, we needed a movie reason why they show up later to save the day. You know, like, fuck you. Like, is that why we went on this weird, like, it's like, okay, well, now that we need them to separate, let's wrap up this other storyline and, you know, like,
yeah.
Let's use the void's ethereal, like, joining everybody's nightmares and dreams at once together or something. Like, I don't know. Where was the crackhead's perspective? I wanted to see his visions. Just kidding.
I mean, all right.
I don't know. Maybe it would have helped the movie. I would have been interested to see his memories of, like, those other moments that he's apparently seen.
Absolutely.
Some crazy shit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I just want more.
Yeah.
I felt like... Yeah, there was just a lot of weird flips that just, like, didn't feel good. Like the cultist girl, the pregnant girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just
all of a sudden.
Just all of a sudden, this, like, crazy Harley Quinn Joker monster, you know, with her smile and slits her grandpa's throat.
Yeah. It's the void, Joey. It's the ethereal eldritch power of the moment. I honestly, like, as much as I don't want that to be the answer either, I think that's all it boils down to.
Sure.
I mean, I want to, you know, let's entertain other ideas, and if you've got some, but
well, okay,
I honestly feel like that's
the transformation of her becoming that thing.
Yeah.
Specifically, because this doesn't happen to everybody.
Okay.
You know, there's clearly people who are just trying to be sane and do things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
This happens to her, specifically, after she's drugged.
Yes. I thought about that as well.
Drug head, drug boy.
Yeah.
Apparently always drugged. What's her face? The wife?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Allison.
Yeah. Probably, well, definitely drugged at the end.
Oh, yeah, because she had no idea what
she can't move.
Yeah.
Are there any other moments where people are given medicine before they fucking go crazy?
Well, all right, well, let's back up, because Drug Boy never goes crazy or changes.
Sure.
He's the only one that's like, no, we need to leave. Like...
Well, yeah.
So
I was just saying that he's been through a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But he's always on drugs.
Yeah.
Who knows what the fuck Richard's been huffing? You know, like.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, we don't know. We never really see if they give Daniel anything in his moments of. That guy took a beating, too.
Did he get? Because there's a few moments where he passes out, right? Like
that's what I was referring to. Like he passes out. We don't like the first time we see him wake up. The doctor's standing over him with Allison, but we don't know who got there first.
I think the doctor found him. He's in the men's room.
Yeah, exactly. And then
he did this after the cultist stab, or is this?
No. So the very first pass out, he.
It's after
he shoots Beverly.
After he shoots Beverly.
He walks out of the room and he's like kind of in a state of shock. Cause this assumedly has to be the first time he's ever fired his weapon because he takes it pretty hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, part of that is due to the nature of what just happened.
Yeah.
Him walking into
a graphic thing anyway.
That's what I meant. Yeah. Like her face is gone, right? And then she just comes at him and.
Oh, that is another thing. Shoots her.
Yeah.
Everyone finds it, freaks out, leaves.
Yeah.
Vomits, passes out.
Yeah.
Found by doctor.
Yeah.
They hear screaming. Head back. Meth head is like being attacked.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit later, yeah.
With the sergeant guy. And
actually, this is... All right, so actually, he passes out. He vomits, passes out.
Well, I was just talking about a different point.
Okay.
It was just a sidetrack. I was just...
Yeah. You're jumping.
Yeah. I was just planning out the events of that room, because when they come back, bed's knocked over.
Yeah.
Makes sense, he was on it.
Yeah.
She's on the other side of the bed from where her body fell.
Yeah, that's... Well, okay, so here's what I think, because there was only one bed in that room to begin with.
Yeah.
Where the guy that was stabbed in the eyes with the scissors was, that she stabbed.
No, well, how'd the other guy get in there?
So Daniel passes out after vomiting. Doctor and Allison find him, get him up, and they're like, state trooper's already here. He goes and talks to him. He said, yeah, I got your boy cuffed here in the other room. So I think he cuffed him to a bed and wheeled him into the room.
Different room.
Well, no, I wheeled him into the room where the other crime happened, to keep all of the stuff, all the evidence in one
What the
place.
fuck?
I don't agree with it either, but I think that's what happened.
I don't think that's what happened.
I do. I absolutely think that's what happened.
I think...
How else would the guy's bed be
it just
in
depends
the room
on...
in front of her body?
Well, this was at the end of the room, too. It looked like there was another way into the room from the back.
I don't think so.
Because it looked like there was just more room past... I don't know. I'd have to re-see the shot, but I was confused by that.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all I was getting at.
Sure.
Just like, how'd the monster get on the other side? And
I think the trooper, we're supposed to believe, for some reason, the trooper wheeled the bed with the dude on it in
There's
there.
no way. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Either way.
Because he wasn't in that room prior.
Right.
They were in different rooms.
Random dude that just gets murdered.
Yeah, and there was no one else in that room. So...
It's weird. Yeah, it made it seem like the monster got out of the original room and then into that room.
Sure. But we're also led to believe that she's like just at the end of transformation state, right? When
I feel
the
like
dude's screaming and stuff,
they
he's
clearly,
like, let me out of here.
They cuffed him to the thing.
Yeah, they cuffed him to the bed. And
before the state trooper got there.
No, they didn't cuff him. They just put morphine or what knocked him out. And just because they were trying to hold him down. And the trooper says, I handcuffed your guy to the bed. That's a specific line that he tells Daniel.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So,
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why you would... I don't know why he'd bring him into the room, though, where everything else happened. Like,
because, yeah, that scene where he's screaming is obviously really frantic. But, like, I didn't really see the guy's body.
The other guy?
Who was stabbed.
He isn't in it, the shot, which is why I think they repurposed that room for shooting that scene and forgot to leave the guy in the back.
I just didn't see that much more room back there for...
There isn't, which is why I think they had to move him out to make the other scene happen. Like, logistically, they just had to only have the one bed in there because the room is too small.
It's possible they have one room to shoot in. Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
The pitfalls of low budget.
Hey, you work with what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that plenty of people do low budget films and don't have continuity questions, so...
I'm not going to argue that point.
What were we talking about right before that?
I don't know. Oh, who was drugged and who wasn't.
Right.
And whether,
I
guess that matters.
Short. Yeah, I was just curious if it matters.
I was saying we don't know if the doctor gave Daniel anything. But Daniel passes out and has a vision before the doctor ever does anything to him, so... Except the doctor does touch his shoulder. After giving him the stillborn baby speech or whatever, miscarriage speech. You know, you just got to keep going. And then he grabs it. They both grab each other's arm.
Well,
Daniel pats him
twice.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that the doctor's an eldritch vessel, and he touches him, and then that's how he gets his visions. I don't know. I'm just pulling crap out of nowhere.
It's just there's a lot of like weird weights given to things in this movie.
Yeah.
For reasons you're hoping are deeper than they are. Like I was saying with the blood thing.
Yeah.
Where, like that was clearly all set up for like a joke.
It absolutely was. Yeah.
Had way more work for that joke than...
So it isn't set up for a joke. It's set up to get us to the scene where Allison walks in and we discover, oh, these two have a relationship and something happened between them. And then the doctor comes in and we're like, oh, okay, they lost a kid.
You could do that anywhere. Like,
you absolutely could, but that's the way they chose to write it to set that all up.
It's the wrong vessel to use to set that up, I think. Because it is too close to the subject matter of, violence, gore, blood, eldritch transformation, metamorphosis, all this stuff.
Transference of those things, maybe, and
does it matter? And fuck you if it's a red herring. Not good, dude. Not good.
I feel like your opinion of this movie is just plummeting the more we talk about it.
Well, the problem is this podcast is about watching a movie. Well, okay, I'd still like it as a movie, but it's not deeper than that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because this whole podcast is let's watch Eldritch things and analyze Eldritch things.
This whole time we've just analyzed how well this movie was made or not. Mostly.
I want to start with the positives. I think any astute listener will realize all of my original comments were basically this shot and this shot and this shot. Yeah. And, they all start with that because I'm all right, we're going to tiptoe through the tulips and pick the roses.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the parts I didn't like about it. And I don't mind the movie and watching it again isn't, horrible. I'd like to get a second viewing on a couple of moments and things like that. And I found it humorous at the beginning and even in the middle when shit starts hitting the fan. But I don't know. It's just not enough.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and that's there's a.
I also felt like it moved really fast.
It did.
I was actually really excited about that at first,
because it doesn't. There's not that slow build up to the substance. It just ramps right into it. Right.
It just goes. Yeah. The first shots are just of people just being mercilessly slaughtered.
Yep. Yeah, they just kill this guy and then they kill the girl. Yeah, they burn her and then they're just chasing this other dude down and and then shortly after that, somebody's transforming into a creature and
right away, the guy goes in there and he's crazy and he's weird and he's violent and and then you get in there and then they're oh yeah, we finally dealt with this, and then it's just I'm gonna go to my car. Yeah, and then he's getting stabbed and then you're what the fuck is happening? It just moved really quickly, and it kept the pace, which was nice. It didn't die,
right? Yeah, no,
speed wise and ruin that. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I figured there'd be a lot more setup. Obviously, I didn't know anything going into this movie. Is this your second time watching this movie?
Oh, it's my 10th.
Oh, okay. You've seen it.
I was super high on this movie when I first saw it. Mostly because of my love of The Thing, and this is the only thing I've ever seen that comes close to the feelings that movie conveys. And The Thing still does it way better because there's a sense of isolation, which we'll watch it at some point, obviously, for this. But the sense of isolation that the movie The Thing...
doesn't that take place in Antarctica or some shit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from a lot of things I've read from other people's opinions online and such, dredging through the different Lovecraft forums and stuff, The Thing is one of the most honoring movies towards Lovecraftian theming.
We'll see if it beats Annihilation.
Yeah, it's not
for me.
It's not in terms of whereas this borrows a lot from the creaturey aspect of Lovecraft, right? Sure. The Thing has that, but it's the sense of true mystery and unknown and paranoia, fear.
Yeah.
Without ever really seeing a lot.
There's a lot of games that are sort of in I wouldn't call them games, I call it mods for games and stuff online.
Okay.
Where they use the thing as a lift-off point for the theming of it, and a lot of that has always lent itself, because I pay more attention to games, or have in the past, than movies, which is why this journey through these movies will be interesting for me. But all those games have in common is sort of like a Battlestar Galactica vibe, where it's can I trust you? Are you infected? And that sort of a vibe is probably very apparent in the movie, I imagine, since all of those mini games are about like someone starting as the thing, but like that could change. And like obviously I don't know anything about the movie, but some of these random details.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to watch the movie.
I can't wait. It's easily my favorite horror and favorite sci-fi movie.
Oh, and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's not hard sci-fi in any sense, but like I would put it in that genre.
A lot of things are.
Yeah. And yeah, it's in my top 5 movies of all time. Like I just have a very strong fondness for that movie. So
I mean, I'm really high on Annihilation still.
Annihilation, in terms of Lovecraftian theming in movies, Annihilation's in my top 3.
Interesting. Okay.
So
yeah, no, it's great.
I'm hoping that The Endless lives up to its
the new
hype.
one?
Yeah, the new one. I don't know when we want to watch that, but
I don't know. That'll be the one that we're both blind on, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I've been itching so bad to watch it. I'm like, nope, I'm going to save it.
Yeah, you should save it.
I need to save it. So, yeah, but
there was one thing I wanted to talk about with this movie. And I worry that this podcast is going to basically turn into talk about the movie and then we talk about this.
Okay.
Is there... Okay, because there was an obvious visual representation of an extra floor in the hospital.
Yes.
Right? They go down and they're like, there shouldn't be any more down. Let's go down again.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, there's a mystery staircase that the people who've worked here know nothing about.
Yeah.
And you guys have all found. Sure. Looks exactly like the floor before it.
Yeah.
Budget limitations, maybe. But, like, should there be a question of what's real?
Okay, now I see where you're going with this.
Because there was those scenes that they cut away, like, when they're like, imagining things, right? Like, a couple important shots. One is when the father and son come out of the coma, come out of the hallucination, and they're in the hallway.
Yeah.
And it's clearly still in the basement. They haven't made it to the morgue. They're just downstairs.
Yeah.
It seems like, right? Like,
yeah.
And the movie continues to lead us to believe this is the special third floor that doesn't exist. The other one is the lost CV or CB.
CB radio?
Or CV. CB. Which is it? Is it B or V?
For radios?
Yeah.
B. CB.
CB?
Yeah.
What is that, like?
Commercial broadcast.
Commercial. Okay.
I think it's commercial.
Okay, yeah. The shortwave radio stuff.
Yeah.
He drops it. It's off his person. And we see the shot when she's trying to panic call him back of it being on the ground.
Right.
More evidence that they're just sort of lost.
Yeah.
In their own, like, craziness. We see the shots of the hallucination stuff when he's looking down at his wife and sees normal wife, and then we see the cutaway shots of tentacle wife.
Yeah. That'll never get old.
And then and just shots like that.
Yeah.
Just different moments like that where like the staircase is just this weird like thing that they pay no mind except to look down and then walk down, and we don't see that. And then they come across the door, and like, and there's just a separation of like, we get even less spatial information at this part of the movie, where previously we got very little. Anyways, we get even less as viewers about where things are, you know, in relation to anything else.
Yeah.
Because everything is just so vague. He walks in and he sees the baby room, and like, that's it. That was the only spatial shot we ever got. Was that first room that he's just like, oh, this is clearly for me to remember my dead baby, and then I'll leave. And then like, but then everything starts going crazy. They stumble upon all these dead things, maybe. And like, is there a question to be had about like, what was real and what wasn't?
No.
No.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Because like he's like, he axes Richard at the end and pushes him through the triangle, which is just logistically silly, right? Like, it's just like, oh, now it's a portal to just, they could just leave and go to this place. Why haven't they? I don't know. And then he just pushes him through and like, oh, they just did. Where's Richard? Like, it's just very disconnected in those moments. And like, why is fucking Allison there now all of a sudden? And like, but she's fine. And like, I don't know. There's just a lot of weird, moments that make it feel not real. The moment when the mute guy is running down the slowly closing hallway.
Yeah.
And then the monster presumably gets crushed, doesn't get crushed. The one time the movie full of gore doesn't want to be gory. And he's just like suddenly in there, and he looks up and around, and he's just like there, and like that feels like comatose. That does not an insanity. It does not feel like I just narrowly escaped a collapsing realm. You know, like
yeah.
It's a little strange.
I'm on board with the idea that
because all that stuff all of a sudden vanishes. He's on the main floor now, like he's not in the morgue in the basement, right? Like. Or the true underground level. He's not there anymore. He's made it to the top level somehow, and he wakes up in a state where he is plenty far from the staircase. It's not even in the shot. He's just at some intersection hallway, and then he wanders back to the main area and finds the other survivor. But we never get any more shots of any other corpses.
There's a corpse literally next to the girl.
No. Any of the corpses under.
Oh, yeah.
From the previous underground events. Yeah.
Sure.
So all the corpses that occurred, that we saw occur, are still there on this first floor.
Yeah.
So is there a metaphor, like real, not real play with like heaven and hell, sort of like,
Sure. I'm on board with the idea that like that could be a nod towards the insanity or the madness portion of Lovecraftian theming, like where, people are... if they come in contact with any kind of, eldritch deity or force of any kind,
sure, yeah,
that they just go insane.
And me saying like what's real and what's not wasn't a way of me saying like the elder thing isn't there.
No, yeah, and I get that. Yeah,
I just mean like the things we were shown
may not be. It could be them.
Could just be them perceiving this event to have occurred this way.
Yeah,
and right. Like, the grandiosity of that final room that was like weird. Like, why were those corpses under the sheets there?
Yeah, and this room is huge.
Yeah, and like all that disconnect, and then just suddenly, like all those moments felt more dreamlike than. Well, I'm walking through this. Like he goes there, he dismembers his wife, or whatever happened in that room as we see the shadow of him wielding the axe. That fades out as the camera draws back into darkness, and then fades in with him just being there at the final room.
I was just going to bring that up. Like, he killed her, and then basically he just turns around, and he's in this room.
Oh, does it show him, like, turn?
I thought it
show him, like, kind of approach.
No,
like he walks up.
It shows him walk towards the center of the room after turning around and kind of looking. And he's got the blood on his face, and he's winded, like he just finished killing her.
Yeah, I missed that.
And then it cuts to the wall with the triangle, and then it cuts back to him walking down the center aisle. So I was
under the impression that cut was like the time between him needing to get there.
Yeah, no, I think it's the cut, like he was killing her, and then he like stops, and now he's in a new place. Yeah, basically.
That all of those moments didn't feel like they were real. Mm-hmm. To some extent. Like, it wasn't fully like, this is a dream, or this is a hallucination.
It's more like space-time is basically being warped, or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The things they're perceiving are disjointed now, for some reason.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up to see if there was any like points about that were interesting takes on the events that occurred down there, especially like the fact that, we had the whole visit back home for the father son, and then he had a couple visions of that room before he even got there, and then he's just there, and then and like I don't know, there might be something to be said about him slowly losing everybody, like shit breaks loose, hallucination, dad runs off, son follows, him and Crackhead run off together, meet Voldo grabs Crackhead and then drags him to die off, like out of view of Daniel specifically. We get to see it, which was cool. But like Daniel doesn't, and he's just gone. He has to, he's just scared and runs away. Even though he's got a shotgun. Could have saved Crackhead, just chose not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That just like there's a lot of problems that I have with that part of the movie after they
descend.
After they leave I guess after they descend, like
they descend into madness.
Yeah, you went too many floors down. You're only supposed to go down one, bud. Morgue was supposed to be right there, and you were like, "There's another staircase." Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
Because that's after all that stuff starts to occur after they move through the door with the triangle. They move through the door with the triangle. They find the writings scribed on the ground in chalk or whatever. Then they move to the very next room, and it's this red lit room with all of the monstrosities, and it's intercut with a weird fading transition, which is non-common in movies. Of the doctor talking to Allison, and it's sort of all of the conversations that he's having are like foreshadowing what's about to happen to them.
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, I had this." There were answers out there to be found, and then it cuts to them finding the triangles on the ground. Yeah. And then they're like, "Oh, okay." And then it cuts back to the doctor, and it's just like, "I had to keep the other ones alive. They wanted to die." And then it cuts back, and it's like fucking all the circus of horror. Yeah. And then
some of them are down here with us.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to him again, and he's just like, "You're so beautiful, Allison. I'm gonna make you, preggers with whatever." And then it cuts back to them, and they're like
fighting for their lives,
made it through that, and I don't know. It's just weird. I feel like it could be. It's supposed to be. I feel like it's supposed to be more relevant for some reason, but I'm just not. Nothing's jumping into my head.
That's because it's just not as deep as you want it to be, buddy. I think.
Hey, you're gonna tackle this subject matter. You gotta be ready to fucking.
Oh, I'm with you asking questions. I'm not sure that this one
has the answers.
Has it beyond the surface, which is why I kind of wanted to do this one as a comparison after Annihilation, because Annihilation has a lot of questions really and possible answers, right? Like, and this one I think opens the possibility to questions, but may not have any of the answers.
Well, the difference is that Annihilation has questions about a grander concept.
Yeah.
The Void has questions about what's happening in this movie. Yeah. They're the questions that I'm asking are basically about the movie, not about like the greater concepts, because they didn't get far enough to just start dabbling in those greater concepts.
Right.
But it may not have been there.
The Void is just a tease.
I guess. A tease to what? Go watch a better movie? Like, I don't just reminding us that it's not the thing. I don't know. What do you tease?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's fine to pay homage, and like clearly the movie's great, and like I'm talking from a position of never having made a movie. Some lowly peon who's some pompous critic or something, like.
Oh, I see all and agree with pretty much all the flaws that you've pointed out. Like
I just want it to be good. I'm like the wholesome teacher who wants the failing student to be. Yeah. You have so much potential.
Yeah.
Well, you could be a doctor.
Yeah.
I want the Void to be a doctor, is what I'm saying. That's my final thoughts.
Final thoughts. All right.
Oh, we have a final thoughts segment? Is that what I just started?
No, I don't know.
Final thoughts. All right, come on. Wrap it up. 2 syllables or less. I got mine.
Heck yeah.
Mine was no. Just no. No, I mean, I like the movie for what it is.
Yeah.
It's so close.
It is. It is very close, but it's not quite. Doesn't quite bring you there all the way. I agree.
And I think the only problem with that is that they tried to. Right? They tried to bring it there. They're like, look at this cool book. Look at these eldritch things we're sort of talking about, and then it's like, we just don't forget those.
Well, I think they were very, like I said before, it's a visual marvel, right? Like it's something that they very clearly wanted to do visually. They just didn't have a lot of the extra substance to or the know-how to bring you that extra substance beyond the visuals.
Probably should have paid attention to the credits. So to say that, like, because what that comes down to for me, because I don't want to just give anybody the benefit of the doubt more than I already do, which is a lot. It's just that, like, someone's job in this movie was to be the cinematographer, right? Like,
yeah,
they did their job excellently. Yes. There are more jobs than, in making the movie. Like, clearly the two guys who made it also wrote it. Yeah. Because that was in the early trailers, the preview credits.
Yeah, it said written and directed by. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And well, that's fine and dandy. That's what's wrong. The writing. It's not. Yeah. Like, the movie is great. It looks great. It's acted well. Mm-hmm. Some of the dialogue's a little bit to leave to be desired, but most of it was pretty real. It felt really real.
It has a level of realism, which I think is why initially it gives that impression of leaving something to be desired, because you're used to all this, like, elevated
You're used to
dialogue.
Fucking Mark Wahlberg running in with a laser gun in his hand talking about the end of days and shit. And just some concepts that just no one deals with. Is it like Transformers, right? Like, he's in Transformers, isn't he?
Sure. Yes.
I was just naming an actor that was in my head, and like a concept. I wasn't referencing an exact movie.
I was gonna say, what movie is this that has Mark Wahlberg with a laser gun?
You're gonna love it. We're gonna show you next time. It's gonna be great.
Yes.
No, there's not. That movie doesn't exist. It might exist. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of movies. Anyways, the point is it's like, it's just a cop who picked up a fucking drug addict on the side of the road who he thought was drunk and ended up having blood on him that wasn't his. And, like, yeah, and then how does a real person deal with that? Probably not well.
Well, I mean, he should. He's a cop. That's his job.
No, I mean, like, how do you process that, right? Like,
he
clearly dealt with it. He brought the guy to the hospital.
Yeah.
He made decisions, and he I don't know. It's just
I agree.
Very real.
I agree. I think the dialogue feels very, very authentic.
Yeah,
to real life.
Yeah, which I appreciate if you're gonna bring me into
a situation where there are very non-real things that are meant to feel real,
but based from a perspective of this starts at Earth.
Yes,
the Earth that right now. You could flay your skin and you could become an old one. It's the world where I want to live. I mean, what? No, yeah, like that. Yeah. The point is like, I'm already your perfect candidate if you want somebody to go see your movie that will suspend all their disbelief. Yeah. I am there. Yeah. Even if you do a bad job of suspending my disbelief. Yeah. I'm pretty fucking good at looking past that. If anything brings me out of it, it doesn't bring me out for very long. Like, I'm like, okay, noted. Moving on.
Yeah. Diving back in.
Yeah. And for some people, they never can get back in, right? And I get that. Like, they get taken out, and then they're just now they're spending their time watching the movie, nitpicking it all. And that's probably why this movie doesn't have a great score, because like the moment that you get the first thing to critique, now people are looking. I don't know that it has a bad score. I just meant like movies like this definitely, I can see that, right? Like, you get an early mistake, and now every mistake is like, now I'm watching for it because that person got pulled out of it. And dialogue that's very candid and real is just doing my job to keep myself into it almost seamless. Like, never once in this movie did I break it. Yeah. There was one moment where I might have been considered to have broken it, but it was more instinctual, and that was the jump scare thing, where I was just like, okay, I kind of know that something might be coming. Yeah. And then it didn't, and I was like, okay, back in. Like, it didn't really take me out of it, but like, I had the thought that was a possibility. I don't know. There's movies that maybe do a better job of telling these eldritch stories, but don't have the nice dialogue that feels really real. Doesn't have the acting caliber that this one does, and it's just basically a B movie that's maybe doing the subject more justice. I wouldn't enjoy more than this. Like, sure, yeah. Maybe the questions that even the conversation about this I'm enjoying, right? Like, just chatting about this sort of stuff is fun. But if it was a bad movie, I'm not really gonna enjoy myself during that portion of it.
If you're curious,
Rotten Tomatoes score?
Yeah, it has a 75% critical rating and a 45% audience rating.
There it is. that's the difference in what we're talking about basically right now, is the difference between it being shot well and critics going, yes, this is a decently put together thing.
Yeah.
Shot well, acted well, dialogue was real. Mm-hmm. That's the sort of thing I think a critic would pick up on. And not just the general populace. Critics are often not on the pulse of society.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like clearly people didn't really like the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that none of that felt out of line or anything like that. For where I might place this movie. But yeah, no, okay. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, that's good, because that's
just
we're in a better place than I thought we'd be after Annihilation, certainly.
When it comes to
which I mean, I think that they're not even like Annihilation's on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to have come
budget wise,
this.
Especially like.
Oh, certainly. But I mean, I'm just glad to have come out of this with like you saying that you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And cool. Had enough to talk about it. So knowing your taste for B horror and all that stuff. So.
Well, I think it's mostly just comes from a place of me not wanting to watch a movie that is known to be bad for the sake of watching a bad movie.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Like B horror, or whatever you would consider B horror, is generally like just horror that's either campy or like over the top bad.
Yeah.
You know, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Have you seen that movie?
No, but I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's fucking great, but like, it's very much made to be what it's doing, and it just nails what it's doing very well. But if it wasn't trying to be that, I would not be there for the ride.
Yeah.
You know, like it would be obvious that it was trying to be a serious film or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just not made by skilled craftsmen. So yeah, I'm not there for the what's that movie? Disaster movie that was based on? What was The Room? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that whole fad of people wanting to seek out these horrible movies.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, isn't that so funny? Let's mock the people who spent a year of their life making this thing. So that, without really, like, this movie gives them a way to distance them from that the fact that they're just mocking something that had time and effort. And this is a bad example maybe because things turn out fine for Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah.
Considering all things. But I'm not interested in that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not really either. So
yeah, I figured. That's why I wasn't as worried about this as you seem to be worried. I was like, if you like it, there's a reason you like it, and we can talk about those things. You know?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not afraid to be the bad man in the room saying your movie's bad for this reason, and it's like fucking directors aren't going to be watching or listening to this necessarily, and even if they are, like, don't care about our opinions, dude. Just keep making shit, right? Like, this is just a stepping stone, and whatever, When did this come out?
Last year.
Yeah.
A year just before, maybe.
Keep on keeping on, man.
Yeah.
You're doing plenty of things right.
What is it? 2018? I think it came out in 2016.
Oh, okay.
So, at the end of, I think.
Doesn't matter. Why am I even most 2 years old?
Why am I even asking the question? The answer is right in front of me. 2017.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Super new.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen it 10 times.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
They've got a target audience.
Well, you know me and my love of weird creatures and unanswerable questions.
Unanswerable questions. Okay, so this episode, I'm glad we had it second, because this is basically where the listeners divine the kinds of unanswerable questions I'm interested in.
Yes.
Because I am way into answerable questions, as long as they're of a certain ilk.
Yeah.
And about something I think begets more conversation, basically.
Yeah.
Like, these unanswered questions are basically like, no one knows except them. Great.
Yeah.
Like, the unanswered questions from like things like Annihilation are basically just like, no one, not even the writers know. These are just like open-ended, draw your own conclusions, what truly happened, based on the evidence provided.
Yeah.
Super interesting. That's like Dark Souls. So I like Dark Souls. Like, it's basically just like, we're not really going to give you a story at all, but here's all this like tiny like segments of information that you can, if you're interested, can really dig deep and try and connect timelines and like, when must this have occurred based on this other information we have, and like that sort of thing. And that's open-ended enough that there are variations on those theories, right? There's theories. Yeah. Anything with theories is something that is obviously interesting to talk about.
Absolutely.
That's why sequels are dangerous. Because then they either create stupid questions, or answer questions what you thought were interesting. Questions you thought were interesting.
And it's funny you bring that up because we're gonna at some point get you to sit down. Even though you know,
are we gonna do the Cloverfield stuff?
Oh, maybe, but that's not where I was going with this.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because people really like the last two.
Yeah.
Apparently. I've only seen the first one once.
I've seen the first one twice. I do own it, and I've seen the second one once, and I saw the Netflix one once. So, but we could touch on those. Those might fit into the theme.
So I'll use your judgment.
But we know where I was going with this was we're going to get to it on this cast at some point. Where even though you know a lot about it, we're going to get you to play Bloodborne. And
I haven't played through it. So
a lot of people. There's a great divide in the community on those who want a sequel and those who do not. And I was definitely in my very early stages, like, just more Bloodborne, give me a lot more. And now that I'm very entrenched as an avid member of the veterans, I definitely don't want another one because the questions that are not answered are perfect being left open to interpretation and such. You know, like the story that's being told to you, what little, that you get, just as is common in this whole series, like, is so perfectly fed to you that I like being able to draw my own conclusions about some of the stuff in there, and I don't want to know.
The reason I don't want a sequel for that game is because I think Miyazaki does his best work when he's writing one-offs.
Yeah. Well, and he even said Bloodborne's done as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Like
that just means that
had a vision.
Other people might make another one, but
God, I'm gonna play
Dark Souls. It's like Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
He didn't really do a whole lot for that because he was making Bloodborne.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll go play the second one if somebody else makes it, but it's not going to be as good. And I shouldn't have that mindset, but I just it's such a masterpiece. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. So those are going to be multiple casts because I can gush forever.
Well, those we'll do do those as a let's play.
Yeah.
So as you're there with me playing, we'll be talking about stuff, and you'll just maybe appreciate how I play through games or chastise me for the way I play. I don't know. I like to think I'm good.
You probably are. I don't know. I've literally never watched you play games, so I don't know.
Well, what's going to happen is I'm gonna be a veteran of the other games that he's made. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna breeze through this game, and you're gonna be like, what is this? I struggled so hard when I first played this, and it's like, well, it's not my first Soulsborne game.
Yeah. So
I know was the pacing,
mine, but well, and I mean, and that's okay because it's not really about getting through the game at a skill level.
Environment and the story.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just pick apart all the details as we go. Yeah, and the faster you get through it, the easier it'll be to get to those important details. So
yeah, we'll see about that. We might linger on some I'm
gonna make you stop
and stuff
and look at stuff.
Oh no, I'll be looking at stuff easy, but I meant like the reading portion of learning about the story. That'll be something that we'll have to figure out how we want to go about doing, but.
There's already been a bunch of stuff written about it, but I'm very compelled to just write. I just meant the item
descriptions that, for every item in the game.
Yes. Yeah.
Is something that will slow us down if we read them all when we play.
Right. No, I was following you. Okay. I just segued off of that, thinking there's been so much written about that game already, but I'm very compelled to just make a compendium of thoughts and writings and stuff about it.
Yeah.
I just want a big tome of all that is Bloodborne.
Just print everything.
I've thought about it.
And then just start putting it together. I'm not even
gonna lie, I've totally thought about it. Like full, multi-page Reddit conversations. I want to just screenshot all of it and print it out.
That's so silly.
It is. It's very silly, but I mean,
This is
I'm sure you recognize an obsession when you see one. So.
Oh yeah. And even when I hear one.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. Any more thoughts? Final thoughts, Joey, about The Void?
No, I just I liked it as a movie. Cinematography was great. Mm-hmm. Things that make movies. Those are all, those I think need to be great before you move into something.
Yeah.
Interesting story-wise or bigger, because that's the vessel for, delivering those bits of information. So that all that stuff was great.
Did we talk enough about the actual theming here and what we really wanted to talk about?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Theming?
Do we delve enough into the Lovecraftian portion of this movie beyond the bits that make movies?
I think we delved into what it offered.
Okay.
Because I'm not just going to say this is what it could have been or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Because I think it was trying to ask its own questions about, obviously it's not a Lovecraftian thing, or it's not a Lovecraft thing, it's Lovecraftian.
Yes. It doesn't, it's not like Annihilation where it very clearly is drawing from a specific story of Lovecraft's. Sure. It just ties some themes into.
Yeah. It's just got tentacles and ancient beings and.
Yeah.
What he even makes mention to one of them. What does he call it? He when he's talking about the void at the end in his bacon state, where he's all
this bacon,
or he's all bacon skinned. He's all crispy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Doesn't he talk about things beyond?
Yeah, but I don't think he
calls it something. He doesn't know what it would be called necessarily. I didn't get that impression, but I thought he had a name for things beyond.
Oh,
didn't he say
now
something?
That I've seen this a bunch of times, you're making me question. I don't know.
It wasn't a name. It was kind of like when we say old one or ancient one. Yeah. He said something along those lines.
Oh,
or a great one. Or...
Oh, you're making me. No, I want to go back.
Didn't he
I
say
think
that?
You're right. Yes, but I don't know why I didn't pick up on it before. I'm just having a really bad lapse of memory right now.
Sure. Well, either way, even if he didn't say anything like that, they're clearly referencing some sort of, creature that is either a singular being or a multitude of them that are influenced by some events that we're doing, like the rituals that he was performing, because they talk about weird sex acts and sacrifices and stuff.
Yeah,
standard cult stuff.
Yes.
And apparently it got the attention of the ancient ones and of this story. But other than that, they don't really.
They're not addressed.
Talk to you about that interaction and why it matters.
Yeah.
Because the reason Bloodborne is interesting, since we already kind of talked about that for a sec, is because they spend a lot of time in that story about the relationship that people have with the ancient
great
ones and how they interpret their interactions and, and that whole thing. And in this, they give you a bit of that where one of them is clearly more touched than the others. Because Bacon Bits over there has got some ability to open portals with that crazy speak that dialogue that he has in some weird unrecognizable language that's probably just made up on the spot.
I Cthulhu Fatagan. Yeah.
That's what he said?
No, that's an actual phrase from Lovecraft's writing.
He says something and then waves his, Alakazam.
Here's the triangle.
Yeah, and then it slides out and it's this interesting light effect.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's just they don't go further into what that could be.
Yeah.
That's the story I want, though. I want to know why the people care, why he thinks it leads to immortality. What makes him think that? Sure, he's mad and he sees these things come back, sort of, as a new thing and interprets it as rebirth or something. But there clearly has some sort of he's different. In some way, and we get none of that. He just wakes up and he's a bad guy again.
Yeah.
I don't know. all I got.
All right. Well, what's next?
Has your opinion of the movie changed at all? I guess that would be my next question.
I like
having these conversations because I feel like
I already had
the 9 previous times that you've watched it they haven't necessarily degraded because you kept coming back.
Right. Well, and I come back for specific reasons, which is a lot of it we already talked about. The visual representation of everything is very appealing to me.
But I feel like if you don't have someone who, we had the express interest in talking about this specifically to do that with, would you have dug deeper and then been dissatisfied? That sort of like.
I had a lot of the gripes that you've had already. Okay. So I kind of went in knowing that some of this stuff was going to get dredged up.
Yeah, so. Before we started watching this, you were very worried about it. You're like, should we do this? Do it. You're not going to like it.
Yeah. So, my opinion, the only thing I would say that has maybe drastically influenced how I'll view it in the future is questioning those things that may or may not be real and really just paying attention.
Final scenes and
just trying to
figure out why they shot it that way.
And then formulating a thesis about those ideas and stuff. So
so to put it into perspective within the realm of what we've experienced so far, after watching Annihilation in episode 1, if you haven't seen it, or haven't heard it, do both of those.
Watch the movie first and then go listen to our first episode.
Because I and he knows it because I spent a lot of time with this kid here, but I was thinking about that movie for days.
Yeah.
Well, like a week, maybe more, after we watched it and talked a shitload about it for 2 hours about it.
Yeah.
I was still like, oh, what does this mean? And then you were looking up other stuff. And
I looked up stuff and then watched it again and then watched it again. I've seen it twice now since we watched it. And it occasionally just pops up in my everyday life. I'm still thinking about that movie. Will continue to think about that movie. Yeah. So that it is a marvel. That movie is a masterpiece.
That's so that's kind of where this movie is. To point out signature moves of ours ahead of time. If the post-viewing portion of the podcast starts with us going like, oh, you kind of know where you're starting. Yeah. This movie did not start that way for us after watching it.
No.
It did not blow
and
us
I didn't
away.
expect it to, honestly. So, but I thought there was enough here, and clearly there was, because we're a little over the hour and a half mark, I think. So we actually talked quite a bit about this one.
Sure.
So, there was enough. There's enough here to digest. So
I want to make movies someday, at least in a smaller scale. So I appreciate this stuff, even if it doesn't have the substance of
our next episode is going to be about True Detective season 1, episode 1.
Sure. Start that journey.
Very exciting
Don't
stuff.
Stare too much.
That will release on December 18th,
It'll stare
2019, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Central Standard.
It might be. I don't know. Probably not.
If you what we do, please follow us on social media. Talk to us. We have a Twitter. We will be posting this podcast as well as other content, including video game Let's Plays.
We'll be starting that on the 6th.
Yes. I'm going to be running through Darkest Dungeon blind. So Joey will be my ever-trusting companion. So
just a vague Sherpa.
And then, as well as that, we have a website, thevoidstaresback.com. And you can contact us there, leave comments, or via email. All of the links to this will be in the show notes on your preferred platform.
Yep. And the gaming stuff will be running alongside this, so it's not going to interrupt any of the release schedules for that at all.
Yes, it will be released independently. So, as well as that being said, since we're starting into a TV show, the release schedule for that will be a little bit different than what we've started. Those episodes are going to air more frequently.
True Detective will see 2 releases a week, every week.
Yes.
Instead of once every 2.
Yes.
So it'll be quite a lot more content. That way you can keep up with the show a little bit more reasonably.
Yeah.
And our conversations on it, even if we didn't watch it that quickly. But those will be released on Wednesdays as well as Saturdays, in addition to that normal. Also on 4 o'clock on Saturdays as well.
Yes. We have another project we're a part of. Cardboard on Tap. We are a Twitch channel that plays analog board games.
Every Tuesday at 5 p.m. So if that piques your interest,
or
you like to know what our faces look like, or you,
you
just like our personalities, that's a different format.
Yeah, we share that with a few other folks. Somewhat of a little bit rotating cast every now and then, but at least one of us of this duo is ever present. So
it's a fun time.
Thank you for checking out the show.